Hey there, this is the One Boom, and tonight I played Modern Warfare 2, like a lot of people, and, well, unlike them, I have a small little YouTube channel I can complain about it on, so, who's having the real fun here? In all honesty, I'm gonna be upfront with you guys, I like Modern Warfare 2. I like it conceptually, I like it aesthetically, I like the vibe, feel, tone, I like Infinity Ward's general design, and so, I am for the game. Right now, I am all for the game, but I did want to complain a little bit about my launch night impressions. Now, the first big thing I want to point out, since the beta, the big changes feel like big changes. Movement feels better and less spazzy, there's less bunny hopping and gunfights, visibility is better, the ability to distinguish enemies is better. They still have a little bit of ways to go with lighting on some of the maps. I think some of the lighting things just need to be tweaked, but other than that, I'm happy with a lot of the changes I'm seeing from the beta. But there are three things that stood out to me tonight that I have to complain about, I have to get off my chest. Now, back when Modern Warfare 2019 came out, one of my first videos I did about the game was how I thought shotguns needed to be rebalanced. People told me I was stupid, and that the shotguns were fine. And yes, I'm referring to the launch of Modern Warfare 2019. People told me shotguns were fine. I don't have to tell anyone who played that game at launch how dumb that feedback towards my video was. I was told it was too early to distinguish whether or not shotguns were OP, and yeah, I don't even need to say it. But here in Modern Warfare 2, the things I'm going to complain about are a little bit less specific. First things first, some of the netcode issues I noticed during the beta were in full force here. Heavily fluctuating ping, putting my sight on enemies, pulling the trigger, getting the sounds of my gun going off, getting the controller vibration of my gun going off, and not even getting a hit marker, even though the last thing I see is the center of my sight on an enemy and my gun going off. My bullet does not seem to leave the gun before I die. There is still a weird discrepancy between time to kill and time to die. I know that's gonna take a little bit of time for them to refine, but in general, I'm not looking forward to a long duration of it not being refined. In general, the time to kill's fast, and I like that it's fast. I expect fast from this dev studio, but I don't know, when it feels like my guns either have incredibly low muzzle velocity or bloom, or it just feels like something's off, there's too much visual recoil, like the sights aren't aligned with where my bullet's going. You know, when that starts to stack and you start to feel like, okay, is it my aiming stability, my recoil control, my bullet velocity, is there bloom? Probably the answer is there's something up with the netcode. But honestly, who knows? I just wish the game felt a little bit more consistent. I've also noticed a fair amount of hitching, and that could be due to the really drastic ping fluctuations, but either way, it just doesn't feel as smooth as I'd like it to feel, or as consistent as I'd like it to feel, but hopefully that can change. Now, the next thing is matchmaking. It is bad. It is apparently bad. Some people in my chat while I was complaining about this were saying, well, you know, obviously it's going to be a little bit sweatier because it's launch night. Because I was dealing with some very sweaty matches. Yes, I imagine that people playing at launch are just a little bit more into Call of Duty and likely means they're going to be a little bit better at Call of Duty. I totally get that, that makes total sense. But my team never was. I kept getting put in losing games. Games that I honestly would just consider to be losing in general. I had enemies that were ruthless, unforgiving, running full parties, and then I had teammates that were AFK, stationary, losing half their gunfights, never getting a streak in the air, and unable to secure an objective. This sort of babysitting matchmaking where it thinks, oh, you have a pretty decent KD, let's fuck you over, is getting really tiresome, and I will leave this franchise behind for it. But more likely, I just need to find a group of sweaty people to play with. I know people like Exclusive Ace and Nemsk were looking to play with me, so that's pretty cool. I think once I get a full team together, I'll be able to have a little bit more fun, because the matchmaking experience was the direct opposite of fun when I was playing tonight. I don't want to blame a matchmaking system for all of my deaths and losses. I really don't want to be that guy. On the other hand, I'm noticing a trend with my enemies and my teammates that just keeps repeating every single match. Enemies that seek you out confidently and push for every advantage and really just are aiming to destroy you all game. And then I have teammates, if I watch them play, they just sort of stutter and stammer around and they hold an angle or they camp or they run in and die, and it's just they don't have any assertiveness, they don't have any game sense, they don't have any confidence. Meanwhile, it feels like I'm fighting people that have constant UAVs up, that are doing callouts, that are accurate and skilled, and it's just awful because I'm not always at the top of my game. Sometimes I'm in an overheated room trying to stream, trying to be entertaining after a long day, and you know, I can't focus, or sometimes I'm just, you know, trying a weird weapon and when I just feel like I can't compete, that like I just can't play. I'm not allowed to experiment, I'm not allowed to have fun. That kills the game for me, and hopefully that's not the experience I have through the rest of this game's life cycle. I have a spot. I have a spot, you see this? Fuck! Moving on to number 3 though. This is an actual mechanical issue I have. The perk system is still garbage. I said this during the beta. I don't get the perk system. I do not understand this perk system whatsoever. And I'm not gonna get into every single perk and every single nuance about it because we'd be here all night. Instead, what I'd like to do is just point out that UAVs are constantly in the air. There's a million things that can spot me, like portable radars, snapshot grenades, spotter scopes, whatever you name it. There's a spotting system in the game. My unsuppressed fire will show up on a compass. And then there's all these UAVs in the air. And then there's no ninja perk for me to run around safely. And then there's no way to start the match with a perk that keeps you hidden while sprinting. I would love 2 base perks. 1, silences your footsteps unless you're tack sprinting, and then an off the grid style perk that keeps you off the UAV while you're sprinting. If I could at least not ping on the UAV when I'm on a full sprint, that would be great because then my flanks would go unnoticed. No matter how long of a flank I took, no matter how stealthy I was, no matter how sneaky I tried to be, enemies would just be essentially tracking me through walls because of my footsteps, because I'm on the UAV, and I haven't gotten my ghost perk yet because it takes like half the game to get to my ghost perk. It doesn't really take half the game, but it might as well. Like, why limit my ability to counter something that's constantly in the air? I genuinely think I need to use Tracker, a rocket launcher, and the ghost perk, and cold-blooded just to make sure I'm not constantly being seen by something other than the naked eye. There needs to be 2 base perks, one that hides you off the minimap when moving, and one that silences your footsteps, and then let the Dead Silence field upgrade do something else. Let it be like the Vanguard Dead Silence, where when you activate it, you're completely off the minimap and completely silent, but it's temporary, you have to kill people to keep it going, and then put it on medium charge. That would be fine. Rebalance this shit. It's not that I'm dying to campers or that it makes the game campy, it's that I'm unable to hide from spotting spam. I am blown away by the fact that people want a traditional minimap on top of all of these spotting tools, the compass, and the UAV spam. I am perplexed as to why you also need to see unsuppressed fire. The game has given us a million ways to find people, but only about 2 ways to hide, and they both have to charge throughout the match. Another solution is just take the Dead Silence field upgrade as it is, give it instantaneous activation, and have it hide you off the minimap when you use it. That way I don't have to dodge 4 or 5 UAVs before I can even have a chance to earn my ghost perk, and it would make that field upgrade that much better, which it could honestly use. I don't dislike this game mechanically. I'm enjoying a lot of the maps, I'm enjoying the gunplay, I am enjoying so much of this game. It is so close to perfect, but the netcode isn't there yet. Okay, technical issue. Matchmaking's a little screwy. That could get banged out over time, but this perk system really stings. Because I was complaining about this with Vanguard, that it was a pain in the ass to make a stealth class. In Call of Duty, if I want to make a class that's stealthy, I should be able to, or resistant, or fast, or equipment oriented. I should be able to define my playstyle. Instead, my playstyle is hinging on timers for my field upgrade and for my bonus perks. Why Call of Duty wants to regress so much with the ability to define a role, the ability to actually build a class around a playstyle, it really perplexes me. I mean, I know that there are certain perks that become crutch perks, but I don't think Infinity Ward is that worried about crutch perks or overpowered perks if they're willing to bring perks like Focus and Last Stand back into the mix. This is such an unnecessary stain on an otherwise fantastic game. If we would have gotten a pick 5 system for perks and equipment, plus this amazing gunsmith and platform system, we would have an award-winning game on our hands, in my opinion, but instead, Call of Duty has decided to regress on class customization again, and I felt it in every match I played tonight, and that is not a great way to start off this season of Call of Duty. No, on the other hand though, I don't mind the idea of them focusing more on equipment. This game has a crazy amount of lethal, tactical, and field upgrade equipment that should, theoretically, make up for this shoddy perk system. I feel like they want us to be more involved with our class by making things focus more on equipment and pulling things out of your pocket and pressing buttons and using heartbeat sensors and different types of grenades. Not so much the passive benefits from perks. Like with Ghost not being on my class, now I want to use a lock-on launcher and shoot down streaks more. Load in some anti-vehicle rounds into my guns so that it's easier to just shoot down a UAV when I feel like it. Maybe that's what they're thinking. They want people to be more involved with the moment-to-moment stuff and not the passive bonus things, but god damn it, it's so frustrating that it's limiting me in the ways that it is. You could have a Call of Duty game that's more focused on equipment and tactile things like that instead of passive bonuses, while not limiting my ability to define my own playstyle. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming to my little rant. I am enjoying the game. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. I just want to get this feedback out as fast as possible and see how it resonates with the rest of the people watching this video. If you guys like my content, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified when I go live, and I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.